team. Welcome back to another episode of On the Couch. Today I'm going to be talking to Aurora from the Holistic Health Nut. So I'm just going to add her in and then we will get cracking. Let me see if I can find her for you. Let's see. There she is. All the materials and content, everything we discuss is for general purposes of information only. It's not to be used as substitute. Wow. I'm just going to put some headphones on. Yep, sure thing. See if we can. Oh, that's much better.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Much better. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So as I was saying, everything we talk about is for general information only, not to be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. See your doctor and don't be a dickhead. The end. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, honey. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, pretty much the end, what she said. I would love for you to start off by telling me something that you are into today, and then I'm going to get you to introduce yourself. So just something you're into at the moment. It could be food, it could be training, it could be, I don't know, some sort of taser for tasering your kid. I don't know. What are you into?
Thinking about that one. What am I into? So at the moment, I injured my back this week, so training's out this week. That's definitely. But okay. So what I am into and what I'm doing later today is a float tank. Float pod. So
yeah, cool.
I did one last week, and I've got one booked in today. So after I finish here, I'm going to jet off and go get nude and get in the float tank.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm into that because being a new mum, my little one's about 16 months old now. It means that it's just me, like it's pitch dark, there's no stimulus, there's no phone, nobody can get in contact with me. Mum's got Lilla, and it's just me by myself, which once upon a time might have been scary to be in a dark space by yourself for an hour, but now it's just like, yes, I just can't wait to unplug and for my nervous system and for my adrenals just to download and relax. So yeah, that's.
How did you feel like? So you've done it once before?
I've done it maybe about 10 years ago, and I actually didn't enjoy it when I did it. I found it a little bit claustrophobic. I was like, when's this going to be over? But I did one last Thursday and loved it. So, yeah.
I remember the first time I did one, I bought a 5-pack of them. I don't know why I would do that if I knew nothing, had never experienced.
You're an extremist.
Correct. So I remember my first one, and I felt much the same way you did for that first time. I was like, when is this going to end? What am I going to do? And I spent the whole time thinking, I wonder if I can make my bum hit the ground, like trying to make my bum.
Like, can I touch the sides?
Yeah. And I just found like for me, it was too much time in my own head. I don't know. I felt like I couldn't chill out. And then after the second time, and I think also not knowing what to expect, I felt like I didn't really have any idea what to expect. And that whole complete sensory deprivation, I don't really think you can understand it until it's happening. So I think I found it way too much to begin with. But then after that, loved it. And you sleep like a dead person afterwards.
Yes. Well, I've got a baby, so kind of. Like when I'm sleeping, I'm like a dead person, but when she's awake, then I'm awake. So.
Kid's awesome. Well, G's latest thing at the moment is that she drinks like 700 litres of water before she goes to bed, and then pees completely through her nappy, through her entire bed every night. And I'm like, so she goes to go to bed. I'm so thirsty, I need to drink water. I'm like, no water. I'm so thirsty. Oh, fucking drink water. I don't care. Every night. I reckon every night for the last week, it has just been this flood through her bed. Like to the point where I've been putting 2 nappies on her, like double up nappies. Oh, fuck. Anyway.
No, you know what you need to do? Maybe it was you that told me this, that for when I first had Lila, was you get those, what is it when you have bub, that those like piddle pads for dogs that you put underneath the bed? It was you that told me.
Yes.
You need one of those.
I, I need to do what I told you to do. That's what I need to do.
Exactly.
Correct. Well, she's got like a mattress protector, like a plastic backed mattress protector on her bed anyway, but it's still a full sheet change in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
which is, it's bullshit. But what I'm into right now is vampire facials. Had one yesterday.
Yeah.
Had my first one yesterday, and it's like skin needling, but they also do the plasma. They inject your own plasma back into your skin. So I remember actually speaking to you, I think the day after I had my last needling session, probably 18 months ago, and my skin was still so red. I looked like I had been like lying on the beach and fallen asleep in the middle of summer for like 10 hours. This time, I think the plasma has just really helped reduce that inflammation really quickly. So
The
it's still a
healing.
little bit pink, but it is nothing like what it was that first time.
You cannot tell that you've had that done. Like it just looks like you're sort of glowy now. Because I've had the
Yeah.
needling done before, and my face is like bright red, and it's like sore, and it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like
Mine
what
was
you
the
look like
same.
now.
Like this, even the second and third day last time, mine felt hot and sore and just like I was really badly sunburnt. This time, no.
Yeah.
So I reckon that whole plasma situation that goes on, it's the way of the future.
Welcome. I think I have to
Vampire
give it a
facials.
try.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we've rambled for an extensive period of time, would you mind telling people who you are, where they can find you, and all that sort of jazz?
Sure. So my name's Aurora, and my business is Holistic Health Nut. So I work as a health coach, and I do something similar to what Shan does in the East Coast. So I teach workshops down at the Raw Kitchen in Fremantle and in various other places. And I do workshops similar to what Shan does, where I do healthy workshops on our gut health, on fermented foods, on collagen, on lots of anything to do with health related, basically. But the ones that I do at the Raw Kitchen are vegan based. I'm not a vegan. I would say predominantly plant based. We eat a lot of plants, vegetables, those sorts of things, but I'm definitely not vegan. So, but the workshops I teach down there obviously are vegan. So
Yeah.
I'm a massive foodie. I love food. I'm always thinking about food, and and for me, and the same as my whole family. Like all we do is talk about food, dogs, and our babies as well.
Yeah.
So for me, I really have been into health for I don't know a good 15 or so years, and for me, it's about how do I make food that tastes really, really good, that is loaded with nutrients. And I've got brothers who are getting into health now but aren't really into it, so I use them as guinea pigs. And I'm always like sneaking different things into food. So like if I'm making a raw chocolate, I'm jacking it with medicinal mushrooms. If I'm making a green smoothie, I'm sneaking spirulina in there. For me, it's wherever, like a hot chocolate, it's got collagen in it. It's wherever I can add extra nutrients into my food. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
moving my hands around.
That's all right.
It's the Italian in me. Uh, so it's wherever I can sneak extra nutrients into food.
Yeah.
And I think of my body as an engine. So you get more bang for buck out of your body, like the more nutrients you put into your fuel tank. And you're going to have more longevity in life, and you're going to feel better, and your body's able to heal better, and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in holistic health, so that is looking at our health, like our sleep, which I know you're into, Shan, as well. Our sleep, the food we're consuming, our relationships, our career, filtered water, all of those things for me go hand in hand and complete our holistic health.
Yeah.
I have also competed predominantly as a plant-based athlete, or I should say pescatarian more so. I was still doing seafood in boxing and then also in bodybuilding as well. And when I was doing the bodybuilding, I did that in the Masters division. So I did that at the age of 37. I'm 42 this year, soon. So I did that in the Masters division and also in the Open. And I did that keto based as well. So for me, I got down to 7% body fat when I was competing, which is obviously really low for a female. Still menstruated the whole way through as well. Actually, the first day of my first competition, awesome. But yeah, so I did that keto base, and I did that obviously not using any drugs or anything like that. I did that naturally, and I did that through the difference I found for me was with nutrition. So heaps of alkaline in my body, heaps of nutrients in. So not the traditional bodybuilding way that you do it. So
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
think that's me.
So, can we talk a little bit about that? Because I find that whole bodybuilding, just that whole situation, looks so damaging for so many people. You see so many people on this yo-yo diet, and they're just focused on the macros. They're not focused on the nutrients, and it's all about if it fits your macros. So it's a Mars bar, but it fits your macros. So okay, so they're not being nutrient seekers. They're just doing, whatever the macros are that their coach told them to do. Did you have a coach through that experience, or was it something that you did on your own?
So I did have a coach when I initially started. Well, actually, no, I had a coach the entire way through. I had a coach that was plant-based that I started doing my training with. And then I did a personal training course many, many moons ago. And my lecturer is also a good friend of mine, and his name's Anthony. And he did my coaching. He's in the East Coast. I'm in the West Coast. And he did my coaching for me, and he trains strength and conditioning, and he trains athletes. So we flipped bodybuilding on its head, and instead of doing, I guess, your slow fasted cardio and things like that, he gave me a training program that was more like an athlete. So I did a lot of like Olympic weightlifting moves. I did a lot of, I can see one of my dogs is at the door scratching to get in. I did a lot of metabolic work. So instead of doing that slow fasted cardio, I was doing like sprints on the bike instead, and I guess, and also boxing as well. I was going through a really stressful time in my life, so for me, for my mental sanity, I had to box. And with regards to macros and micronutrients, yes, I obviously got my macros in, but I really focused on my micronutrients. So when I was talking about before, your engine is for me, I was like, okay, so what do I need to put in my body, my engine, to get the best recovery, to get more bang for buck, so my body's not, because obviously when you're training you're inflaming your body as well. So I was doing I was actually using a vegan source of protein powder, and it was a brown fermented and sprouted brown rice protein powder.
Yep.
And then that was just like jacked with like spirulina, barley grass, wheatgrass, chlorella. So heaps of really alkalining greens in there, which don't
Yeah.
taste good, but you're going to get
Yeah.
them in,
Yeah.
which then help the body stay alkaline, which means that you're able to heal a lot faster as well, and you're not as inflamed.
Yeah.
I also really focused on, because I did keto, and I did more plant-based keto, was I really focused on fermented foods as well. So I was having things like your water kefir and sauerkraut, which really helped with sugar cravings, because I dropped fruit out of my diet, because obviously I was getting down to a really low percentage of body fat, which I don't recommend doing unless you have like a goal in mind. And obviously to get on stage in the bikini was a pretty big goal for not wanting to, wanting to shed some body fat.
Yeah.
So I did that to curb off those sugar cravings. And for me, what that looked like, I was not hungry at all. Like I really followed my intuition and the way my body felt after training, which was if I was hungry, I ate. Like I was definitely not
Yes.
hungry.
So it
I
wasn't
when
like
I
you were making sure you had to have, like you see so many of these people doing
no.
figure comps, and they're like, I've got to eat 10 meals a day, and they're, at this certain time. So you weren't doing that.
No, and I did a lot of liquid nutrition as well. So after training like smoothies that had heaps of
Yeah.
spirulina and like all your good fats or your coconut and MCT oil and things like that, which meant your body's not having to break down and digest it. It's just like nutrients straight in faster. And like nut butter out of the jar for days. Like,
Yeah.
with and as you know, with doing keto is when you're having all that fat, your body's satisfied. Like it's I didn't find that I was hungry, and if I was, I just put my spoon straight in the nut jar and the nut butter jar and ate that. And
Yeah.
greens for days, like as many greens as you want. I was still having grass-fed butter, so greens with salt, pepper, lemon juice, grass-fed butter, happy days.
Delicious.
So yeah, I didn't naturally. It's hard because I love fruit. So there are certain foods that you'll steer clear of, but I didn't find that it was really hard. As in, I was like, oh, I've got to eat this again. Like I actually really enjoyed the food. And I found that I had a really good mental clarity as well when I was
Yes,
doing it.
and that's probably more down to the ketosis side of things as well too, because I think you talk to a lot of people who are, they're very carb based, with a lot of that sort of typical bodybuilding diet, a lot of lean chicken breasts and steamed broccoli.
You're like, yeah,
And
exactly.
no wonder they don't want to eat that same thing again, or egg white omelets. So you just wonder how people can continually do it. So did you just do one?
No, I actually did because I'm like you and I like things, in extreme. I did 5 competitions back to back within 6 months. So I competed in IFBB, which is one which is a lot bigger muscles, which clearly I did it naturally, so I'm not going to build as many big muscles. And then I did IMBA, which is a natural bodybuilding association. With IFBB, I did 2 comps. So I placed in the Masters second in Perth and then went through to the Arnold's, which was the first time they did in Australia. So this was 2015, and placed third in Australia in the bikini division, so which is not obviously as muscly as figure. And then with IMBA, I went through, did 3 comps until I did the Worlds and placed first at the Worlds in that. So it was an amazing journey, and I also put that down to the mental side of our holistic health, which is I wrote down a goal. I used to
Yeah.
live in Dubai, and I was like, the competition, the Worlds were in Dubai, and I was like, we'll go to Dubai and compete in the Worlds. And I was like laughing when I wrote it. I was like, oh my, like I'm going to actually do that, like I'd actually win.
Yeah,
So
right. That is amazing. And so at the end of those competitions, those 5 competitions, how do you cycle out of that? So what does the exit strategy from that look like? Because it obviously doesn't look like tomorrow I go back to not even, and not that you would ever not think about what you're putting in your mouth, because you're somebody who is going to seek nutrients in whatever you eat. But what does the training dial back to? What does the food change look like? And is it a transition out of something? Like, are you reverse dieting out of something?
yeah, I guess I didn't. You definitely you can reverse diet out. For me, as you said, like I'm not somebody who I was like I'm going to eat lots of pasta and all those sorts of things afterwards. So for me, it was really just adjusting what I was already eating, because it's going, okay, I can have mangoes again and, things like that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a huge change in my diet. It was really just I was adding in more fruit again,
Yeah.
and it meant that if I wanted to, I'm big on having family dinners and catching up with friends over meals. So for me, it just meant, oh, if I want to have quinoa in my dish, I can have more quinoa, and if I want to have dessert afterwards, I can. So
Yeah.
it really it wasn't a huge change for me that I found with regards to training. I obviously dialed that back, but I train because I enjoy training. So I dialed that back where I wasn't as disciplined and I wasn't training as many times, but still just continued to train. So it really just tapered back into normality for me. But after my competition, because obviously you dehydrate your body right down for the day of the comp, it was just lots of green juices and lots
Yeah.
of hydration for the body. So I didn't find it was a huge change to my lifestyle, to be honest, aside from the amount of time I was training and not having any sugars, I guess, not having any fruits or things like that.
Yeah. So you go from 7% body fat though. And then when that's not specifically a goal, your body naturally goes back to a place where it's just a bit more comfortable and it's not, freaking out anymore. How does did that affect you at all mentally? Because obviously you've seen your body go to this place where you're like, holy shit, I am lean.
And
It's
I
going to
got
change.
abs.
Like, yeah. So that's not going to
Yeah.
be maintainable. Like, that's not how you wake up every day
Oh, God,
as a
no.
normal person. So
No.
was there a mental transition around that change in your body back to it's normal? And was that hard? Did that feel okay? Was that something, was there any, and I don't know whether disordered eating is the right word around that, but just that concern for food and how that's going to affect your body.
So for me, I'm thinking back to that time. So for me, yeah, definitely. I definitely miss sometimes waking up and going, oh, I've got a six pack. But I think the beautiful thing about for me going into it at the ripe age of 37 was that I wasn't, I was doing it to be the best that I could possibly be. And I knew that this wasn't a day in, day out. This is not the way that I'd look. And I'm too much of a foodie that, like, I love food. And for me, this was for an end goal. It wasn't going to be all the time. I like
Yeah.
to be somebody who is fit and healthy, but to me, I don't need to have a six pack. That's, it's not important. I'd rather have, you know, that last piece of chocolate or eat all the food that I want to eat. So, but yeah, there were definitely days like, when you put on your bikini and go to the beach and go, where's my six pack gone?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was completely fine with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was part of that process, and yeah, there were some days when I missed it more, and there were other days where I was like, nah, I don't miss it at all. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So what do you do now for training?
so for me, this week nothing because I injured my back picking up my daughter. So you know you're getting old.
Little kettlebell.
Yeah, like my back's gone. I am doing some sort of CrossFit style training, so some strength and conditioning training. And I've recently just gone back to boxing, probably about 6 weeks ago or something, just one night a week because I can fit it in with Bob.
Yeah.
And boxing is my passion, is the way I love to train. Like it,
Yeah.
for me, I feel like, and I know that you're the same, like you get into that sort of flow state where I forget about, it's like meditation. I forget about everything else that's happening because I'm just boxing. And if you don't think about what you're doing, you're going to get punched in the face. or
Yeah.
and I just really enjoy, I guess, the mental side of boxing as well as the fitness side. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, a little bit of strength and conditioning training, and with a little bit of boxing, and that's about it at the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. So I had a few questions come through around keto, and obviously keto is the new black. It's something that, everybody wants to be hashtag keto right now. And I know you and I are both actually running workshops at the moment around keto, just trying to help people realize that it doesn't need to be bacon fried in butter with a side of cheese.
Oh,
It can actually still be really nutrient dense. And I think from my perspective, and when Soph and I teach workshops around keto, we try and help people to understand that there is no such thing as a keto food. No food is
no.
keto. Your body can be in ketosis or it is not in ketosis, but that could be totally different for two different people. Like we could eat the same thing. I could be in ketosis, you might not be in ketosis, by eating the same thing in the same amount, depending on our metabolic flexibility, depending on our insulin sensitivity, all those sorts of things. So I think when it comes to keto, people have a number in their head, and it's usually, 20 grams of carbs a day or something like that. And then they have these foods in their head that are keto and not keto. So when you're teaching your workshops, what sort of things do you focus on when you're talking about a keto diet?
I guess for me, it's focusing on, with any of my workshops, is focusing on nourishing foods. So
Yeah.
first and foremost is eating real food, and it's eating foods that will nourish the body. And as you were saying before, with keto being the new black, it's a lot of people are doing it with lots of processed foods, and that's it's still keto, but to me, it's not a healthy version of keto, and it's going to be inflammatory on the body, and it's not going to make you feel good, and there's not going to be a lot of longevity in it. My personal opinion. Again, I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
but for me, keto is more like a plant-based, well, not plant-based, but a lot more sort of plants and nourishing good fats that are from avocado and nuts, and from your grass-fed, grass-finished animals as well. So looking at really good, real sources of food as opposed to processed food. So that is really, really important, not just for keto, but just for life for me.
Yeah.
And then is adding in fermented foods, because after our mental health, for me, first and foremost, is our gut health. And it's will be challenging to do the mental side of keto if you're having those sugar cravings. So if you're adding in your ferments and helping with those sugar cravings, as well as then helping your microbiome so your body can actually absorb all those beautiful nutrients you're eating. And then as well as, like, obviously the microbiome is going to help with your sleep and your recovery, and it's got a whole range of different things that helps with. So for me is mental health, real foods, it's fermented foods in there, it's not eating processed foods, it's looking at our environment, which is holistic health, or your epigenetics as well, which play a huge part in it for me, which is, as I was saying earlier, how well you're sleeping, so your body's actually able to heal and recover and do what it needs to do. What water we're drinking, what toxic load we're putting on our skin, what's being absorbed through our body, our environment. I guess it's that whole lifestyle for me. And with keto, because I think a lot of people think it's very restrictive, and it's flipping it on its head and going, it's actually, well, it depends on the way you eat, but it's actually no different to just having lots of green, like lots of vegetables, big salads, and a protein and some good fats. Like it's a good piece of meat or fish or chicken, and it's a big beautiful salad and some greens, like some real food, and then it's with a good fat like butter or olive oil, like and salt. So for me, that's like obviously a good quality salt, and herbs, like where you get all those micronutrients, and then jack it with some. I am into superfood, so I am into eating foods that are really nutrient dense. So it's like, add some medicinal mushrooms into your food because it'll help your body with stress. Add some seaweed into your food because it's fantastic and it's full of iodine and it's full of iron and omegas and all those sorts of things. So it's that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what I have seen a lot from people who are sort of coming to our workshops is, obviously keto was developed because it's an incredible therapeutic diet. So it's amazing for people with, cognition problems, Alzheimer's, dementia, epilepsy, great for type 2 diabetes. It can be really useful therapeutically in a super strict way as, a therapeutic diet. For the general punter who's turning up to probably your workshops and my workshops, for most people, it's about losing a bit of weight. They want to get rid of a little bit of fat. And I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but keto's the new thing. So that's where they're going with it. But for those people, when they're getting super obsessed with 20 grams of carbs a day, or, are they looking at net carbs? Are they looking at total carbs? Are they filling their plate with vegetables, just like you said, and having, an adequate amount of protein and making sure there's some good healthy fat on there? Or is it just bacon fried in butter with a side of cheese? And could they just incorporate some intermittent fasting in, a 16-8 sort of style format and get 80% of the same benefits without having to have that obsessive control over their food? Probably, I think. I think it's, I think people sort of flock to these things as soon as they're new because they want to give it a try and they want to see how they can go. But I think they need to understand that it doesn't have to look one certain way. There is more than one keto diet, and I think we can both agree that it should be a plate full of vegetables with, some good, and food quality matters. I think a lot of the time people will go, oh, okay, well, I can just go to Macca's and I can just get all of the burgers and none of the bun. But food quality is important.
It's so important.
And I don't think a lot of people really make that a priority either. But I did have a couple of questions that came through about keto, and a couple of them were very, very similar. So I would love for you to touch on a couple of the maybe do's and don'ts that you see with people doing keto. And then also there was a very specific question. A woman had emailed and said she's been doing keto, I think, for 1 to 2 weeks, and she's put on weight. Is that a thing? I'm like, you can overeat anything. It could totally be a thing.
I have I have heard of that before, and sometimes that's looking at obviously how many carbs they're having, and some people like, for me, sorry, you're going to finish your question first before I start rambling.
No, no, you're good.
No, that's it. That's okay.
Yeah.
So for some people is checking in with your bio individuality, because just because keto is a new diet, it doesn't mean it's for you. You
Exactly.
know, keto is, I'm still breastfeeding my bub at the moment, so keto is not something I'm doing at the moment because I'm still breastfeeding, and it's not for a pregnant woman, and it's not for people who, you know, if they're overtraining and they're not sleeping, it can have the reversed effect on some people's bodies. And I was actually listening to something with Dr. McCullough, and I think he's just brought out a book on keto as well, bringing out a book, and he was talking about that exact thing where some people will put on weight, and it's looking at sometimes mixed with the intermittent fasting is you can do a refeed, and that refeed is what you were talking about before. After you've done your fast, is what you're putting into your body, because the building blocks of your body, like your body's constantly replenishing itself, and especially when you're doing keto and fasting, your body is doing a cleanup of the immune system. So then when you're rebuilding, like the food that you're eating next after that break of fast is you're rebuilding your body with. So
Yeah.
if you're having McDonald's, then your poor body is going, oh, how am I going to rebuild these cells with, you know, with Lego blocks as opposed to, you know, what I need to.
Yeah.
So it's checking in and going, hey, keto might not be for me. Maybe it's low carb instead. And so it's real food, like it's lots of salads and vegetables, but it's not so strict on keto. It's looking into how many carbs you're having. Some people need to have more carbs, some people don't. And as you were saying before, for one person, they may be in ketosis on 20 grams, and one person, it might be 80 grams. It depends on your lifestyle.
And ideally, you want to be able to incorporate the most amount of carbohydrates that your body can tolerate, because that gives you diversity of food. It means that you can
Exactly.
incorporate tomatoes and carrots and some potato and sweet potato. And a lot of these foods as well that are really great prebiotics, we want to be able to incorporate them so that we've got this incredible, flourishing, diverse gut microbiome. We're not starving those poor little bugs.
And it tastes good.
Absolutely delicious. And also, I think hormonally, it could be that could be, you know, very early in that keto journey. Like you said, stress is a huge thing. Like if the rest of your body is under stress from work or from a relationship, or you're overtraining or you're not sleeping, then keto is a stress, and it's probably not right
Definitely.
for you right now. Doesn't mean it's not right for you ever. But also, I mean, are you about to get your period? Because you could have just put on a couple of kilos of fluid this week, and that has no bearing on your, you know, the fat content of your body. It just means that your body's just holding on to a shit ton of fluid because of hormones.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with that is stepping away from getting on the scales and weighing yourself and saying, oh, I weigh, you know, 2 kilos more than I weighed before, is the way that your clothes are fitting you. And a part of that is really important, is just moving your body, which is
Yeah.
just, you know, it's exercise, and it's whatever that looks like for you, is moving the body. Like obviously strength and conditioning training and your program that you do are fantastic, because it's get in there, get it done, especially for a mum, get in there, get it done, get the heart rate up, and then it's, you know, it's over with. But it depends on what you like to do
Yeah.
to move your body. But that's also really crucial in that sort of that whole holistic circle of things that you need to do if you're doing keto. That's one aspect of your lifestyle. It's okay, you're going to pair keto with making sure that, as you said, sleep, so your stress levels are coming down, so your body's healing itself so it can do all the things it needs to do. So, and also through moving your body, you're actually building muscle, and the more muscle you build, the more food you can eat, because
Yeah.
your body burns more calories. So so yeah, I think those factors definitely come into play.
Is there anything else you have noticed with, you know, people doing keto and this whole keto bandwagon that you would say is a definite do or don't?
I would say definitely don't. I mean, we still have bacon, but I definitely say don't have the processed meats with the cheese and with the cream and the artificial sweeteners, because it's no sweetener in there. And foods
Yes.
that are a toxic load and a stress on your body are definite don'ts for me.
Yeah.
and I mean, for for me, definite do's are definitely fermented foods. They're definitely real foods, heaps of greens. It's definitely making sure that you're sleeping. It's checking in with how you're feeling. For me, is a huge one. It's like after you eat a meal, like just because somebody says spirulina is good doesn't mean it's good for you. It might be amazing for one person, not for the other. It's how do I feel after I have a certain meal? Like, what are my
Yeah.
bowel movements like? What are
Yeah.
my energy levels like? How's my mental clarity? So, for keto, when I was doing keto, when I was bodybuilding, I wasn't measuring, like I wasn't, measuring my ketones or anything like that. It was the way that I felt.
Mm.
So, and because I mean, I didn't have a baby then, but I just still didn't have time to do that. For me, it's the way that I'm feeling. It's like it's the food that I'm eating. I'm nourishing my body. I'm eating so I'm not hungry at all. I'm eating
Mm.
real food, so my engine goes, my nutrient tank's up high. Because if you eat processed food, like everybody knows, you can eat a bag of chips and you can eat the whole thing like that, or a block of chocolate. I can.
Mm.
But if you're eating real food, like if you're eating a big bowl of a beautiful salad with heaps of avocado and hemp seeds, things like that, you can only eat a certain amount till your body goes, oh, my nutrient tank is full, I don't need anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think that's also important.
Yeah, definitely. So keto sweeteners, I think, are something that does my fucking head in because there is so many, particularly processed keto foods out there that are
Yeah.
just loaded with so much shit, so much artificial shit. And people just think it gives them free reign to make whatever sweets they want. But I'm going to use this artificial fucking crap to sweeten it instead. Um, are there any particular sweeteners that you would suggest people use if they are trying to be keto or low carb? Because honestly, if you're doing a strict keto diet for particularly for a period of time, what you probably don't need is sweets. So you shouldn't even be making sweets or needing to sweeten shit. You should just eat some more fucking vegetables. But if people are trying to make,
But
yes, but we all like chocolate. So
yeah. So, I mean, I do. So, I actually just got yesterday, which I'm just taking for a trial run. I should have brought it in with me. I got a monk fruit concentrate.
yep.
So, and that's actually really good because for me, I don't like stevia. I
Oh
find that
man,
the
neither.
flavor,
It's
yeah,
fucking
and the
awful.
flavor's like, well, it tastes artificial, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's just got that high note of sweet. So, I used to have a raw cake and chocolate business. So, for me, I like my chocolate to have like, that sort of that rounded flavor of sweetness. And I only just got this monk fruit yesterday, but I made like a white chocolate matcha this morning with it, and I put 2 drops in, and it had just that right amount of sweetness. And I've like obviously had a taste on my finger as well. It feels like it's got that roundness of sweetness, and I think that it's going to be my new favorite thing.
Yes. Let me know how you go with it because I've got a monk
Yeah.
fruit powder, which I think is just a More Life brand one that I got from the health food shop. And I don't love it. So I'd be interested to hear how you go with the concentrate. It still tastes a bit stevia-ish to me. It's kind of got a chemically aftertaste. So
Yeah. See, this
I'd like to hear,
concentrate
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
it's
me posted on that.
because I have got a stevia and monk fruit powder, and I thought, oh, okay, this could work. And I will still use it in something, but I'm not that excited by it. I don't mind it, but I don't love it. Whereas this concentrate feels like it's just got that more of that roundness in flavour. So more like that, I guess, your maple syrup sort of that, that sort of
Yeah.
depth to flavour. I don't, otherwise, I mean, I don't really play around with many of the other sweeteners because when I
No.
was doing it, I was just like, nothing sweet. I
Yeah.
have had a bit of a play around with fermenting fruit,
Mm-hmm.
which I know that you have as well. I saw one of your stories when you did one with the coconut kefirs. So I tried that with the banana, and that turned out really well. Like, I really enjoy that option because for me to cut out fruits, they're really, really valuable. They're really nutrient
Oh,
dense. So
absolutely.
it's a beautiful thing to go, oh, I can have it fermented, so it's really good for my gut. I'm still getting that taste of the banana or dates, whatever it is you want to ferment, mango,
Yes,
as
yum.
well as, yeah, the nutrients without all that high sugar load. So for me, yeah, I will err more on the side of doing things like that instead.
Yeah, me too. And I also think, if you're doing keto and you wanted to make like a raw dessert or you wanted to make some raw chocolate or something like that, I don't think that, a teaspoon or two of pure maple syrup or raw honey in a whole slab of chocolate is going to derail your life. Like,
No,
like
no,
I
it's going
think
to
that's
enhance your life.
like salt.
Exactly, and swearing.
Exactly. So I just think, people need to keep it in perspective. I would far sooner use a couple of teaspoons of honey or pure maple syrup than I would be loading it with, erythritol or xylitol or any
Exactly.
of those other things. It's going to be such a small amount in each piece of chocolate. You make that chocolate super nutrient dense with lots of really good healthy fats in there. You're not eating the whole block. And even if you did, it's 2 teaspoons of honey. Move on.
And
Yep.
honey, especially raw honey, is really good for you as well. Like it's, and I'm definitely in that camp where I'm like, I make raw chocolate, and I just find that if you're adding to it, like I do mine with the cashew nut butter, and that gives it a creaminess. And
Absolutely.
I'll add like roasted almonds into it, and that diversifies. I know you like a bit of chocolate. I like more of a creamy chocolate. So I just will add, like, I'll add coconut in there, and I'll add some roasted almonds and or roasted hazelnuts, and that will give me what I need, as well as maple syrup or coconut sugar. I do like in chocolate because of the caramel flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
even coconut butter gives things a beautiful creaminess
yes,
too. And
yeah,
roasted coconut butter is the bomb.
I haven't tried that yet, but I'm going to.
Oh my God, Aurora, you will just eat it straight out of the jar. It is like if you think coconut butter is good, roast your coconut first. It is life changing. So
Okay,
fucking good.
I might I might do that this week. I just made like a jar of cashew nut butter and did it with like some cinnamon and did it with a little bit of maple syrup and some vanilla bean.
Yum.
Oh, that's the other thing I'll put in if I'm erring more on the side of keto style is vanilla bean, because that sort of sweetens things
Sweet.
without sweetening.
And so
But
does cinnamon, I think.
yeah, yeah. But making sure you're using one that isn't like a vanilla liquid that's in glucose. So, making sure like you're using the real deal.
You can
But
get some pretty
yeah,
good
it's
vanilla bean powder these days as well. That I mean, it's expensive, but you use such a small amount of it.
yeah. No, I've got just a pure powder that's just crushed up, and I just use that in everything. It just makes life better.
Yeah, so good. So, vegan. I know you run lots of vegan workshops. What are your thoughts around how to make sure if you're going to follow a vegan diet? I got trolled by this vegan this week. Oh my God. And seriously, I was so close to just raging back at her because she commented on maybe 5 or 6 of my posts all at once and just raging, like just so fucking angry that I was cooking meat. And anyway, I was just so close to just raging back at her, but I think I just ended up replying back and said, "Jog on, Sarah," um, and refrained
Took a
from
deep breath
doing
and
the
went,
"Jog on, Sarah." Leave off the finger emoji. Um, oh, I think I did just say, "Jog on, keep your eyes on your own plate, mate." Like, you do you, don't care. Um, so there's a lot of people who do vegan, and that's totally fine. And I think plant based is amazing. Everybody should be plant based. All of our diets
definitely.
should be based on lots of plants, and then add in whatever well sourced protein you want to that feels good for you. What do you see with most vegan diets that need to be taken into consideration? Like, what do people really need to have a think about? If they want to follow a vegan diet, that's cool. What do they need to think about to make sure that they're healthy and they're getting everything they need?
And again, this comes down to that bio individuality. If you'll find one person does well on a vegan diet and another person doesn't. So
Yep.
it's using your own intuition, checking back in with yourself. But it's things like vitamin B12, which is
Yeah.
nervous system and metabolism. So it's, we grow, I'm looking out here because my garden's out there. We grow lots of vegetables and I pick it out of the garden. I don't wash it, so the soil's on there for the microbiome, and I source food from a local markets where I know, who grows it. But it's B12, which most vegans are going to need to supplement.
Yeah.
You can get trace B12 in things like dulse or in your seaweeds. So when like we do a vegan workshop, we will definitely do something like a seaweed and mushroom broth, which has got your different beautiful seaweeds in there and your mushrooms, so that you're getting your iron in there and your taurine as well, because it's something and it's an amino acid that's hard to find, as well as obviously iron as well. So, and making sure your body's absorbing it. So having that with a food that's high in vitamin C, so your body's actually able to absorb that iron as well. It's those are the main ones. And I guess zinc is another one as well, which I think that is probably general population is our soils are quite deficient depending on where you're growing and if they're rotating crops or putting nutrients back in. So, and if you're going vegan, then it's checking in the way that you feel, but checking your bloods as well, like checking your levels and seeing whether this agrees with your body. Because I've got lots of friends that, well, not lots of friends. I've got a few friends that do vegan successfully, and then I've got friends that had to go, I just can't do this because my body needs something more. And for us, as I said, we do a lot of plant-based, but I feel that there is still that need to have to have an animal protein in our diet as well. And when you're looking at things like Chinese medicine, like it's something that has been in our diet for thousands of years, and we like to slow cook it or put it in the pressure cooker, and so it's easier for the body to break down.
Yeah, I'm with
Sorry,
you.
I've gone from vegan to meat.
No, no.
So yeah, it's really, I'd say your B12, looking at your zinc, looking at your iron levels, and obviously your DHA and like your fatty acids
Yeah,
as well.
EPA and
So
DHA.
yeah, so I mean you can get that from an algae source, which tastes like rubbish, but if you're
Yeah.
taking it in a capsule. So, I mean, you can get that because obviously fish are then eating the algae, and that's how where they're eating the fish. So you can do that, and I think udus do an oil as well, like you can add into your smoothies. So yeah, it's just checking all those levels, and just it's really monitoring it, which we all should do anyway, but especially if you're adapting a new lifestyle. And I guess with veganism, it can be challenging because people are doing it. Some people are doing it for diet, but a lot of vegans, it's a lifestyle. So they're going to have to supplement. I'd love
Yeah.
to say it's any other way, but you're going to have to, in my opinion, and what I've seen is you're going to have to supplement with things like B12 and looking at your levels regularly.
Yeah, and I think taking into account your hormones as well. Like, if you all of a sudden decide to go and become vegan and you stop getting a period, or your periods go to shit, or your sleep goes to shit, or you are someone who's really fit and active and your training goes to shit, you maybe just need to have a look at what's going on. And I think it also including diversity of plant-based products in there. So eating seasonally and making sure that, because it's probably going to become something that's quite legume heavy. Because I think for a lot of vegans, that's where the protein's coming from predominantly. And yes, legumes have protein, they're not high in protein. They're high in carbohydrates. They have protein in them. So you have to eat quite a bit of them, but also you don't want to just be eating chickpeas. You want to make sure you're
Yeah.
getting diversity of all of those different types of legumes, because they're going to have so many different nutrients in them and all that sort of stuff. So I think that can
And
be super important too.
which just reminded me is with that as well, whenever we're doing the workshops, is obviously adding in, because I steer sort of away from legumes and legumes mainly because they just don't sit well with my body.
Me neither.
But things like your pseudo cereal grains like quinoa
Yeah.
and amaranth and buckwheat are beautiful, and they're high, well, then they've got protein in them as well. Like, you know, they're a complete protein, and
Yeah.
they are not as, like, if you're somebody who suffers with having legumes, they're not as inflammatory in your body. So
Yeah.
it's making sure that you're adding those into your diet.
Yeah. Yeah. So my phone's just flashing up on low power mode. So I reckon I've got like 5 minutes left. Can we quickly touch on some of your favorite supplements that you use?
Okay. Okay. So definitely medicinal mushrooms.
Yep. Do you have a brand that you
Everything's got.
like?
So yes, I use Superfeast. They are based in Byron Bay. They are third party tested when they come into Australia because they're grown in China. So yeah, they're tested for heavy metals when they come here. They're dual extracted, and they're done in a way that our body is able to absorb the active parts that we need to. And check out their Instagram because they've got heaps of amazing information on there as well.
I'm
So that's
actually interviewing
Superfeast.
Mason in a couple of weeks.
Okay, awesome. He's awesome. He's got lots of information. That'll be a good one. Then greens like spirulina, barley grass, wheatgrass, all of those algaes are amazing for the body.
Do you buy them
So
as a all-in-one supplement, or do you buy them individually and add them all in?
I do a bit of both. So I'm like, when I say supplement, it's food still. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I'm with
it's
you.
so I have them all individually, but then I also will mix them myself and make my own super green powder.
Yeah.
Or I'll buy one on the go, whatever I feel like at the time, whatever I feel like I need to add to my
Yeah.
cupboard of supplements.
I'm
Camu
just gonna
berry.
I'm just gonna keep moving and plug my
Okay.
phone in just in case
Okay,
we go
cool.
flat so I don't lose this. Yes, you keep going. Camu berry, tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's really high in vitamin C. So that's something that I just pop into. It tastes, it's a little bit sort of bitterish and vitamin C tasting. It's a berry. So I'll add that into like, you know, a smoothie. Like after I train, because that's a nutrient straight into the body, I'll do like a green drink with my greens in there. I'll put my camu berry. At the moment, I'm taking some ashwagandha as well, which is good just for hormones.
Yep.
What else am I taking? Hemp. I take hemp hearts as well, just because they're good fats. I put them into Lila's food as well.
Yep.
I do take zinc. Zinc is one thing that I do take, and I know that they say take it in the morning when you have food so it doesn't make you feel ill. I take mine at night before I go to bed. It doesn't affect my sleep. I just
Yeah, right.
find that zinc does make me feel ill, so I take it before I go to sleep, and I don't know if I feel sleep while I'm sleeping.
Yes, good. Genius.
Collagen, yeah, collagen is another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I and with the mushrooms actually, I also like tremella, which is fantastic for hydration of the skin and plumpness as well. And eucommia bark as well, which is also really good for connective tissue, which is good for vegans if they're wanting, like, you know, something like a collagen.
Yeah,
So that's
okay.
eucommia bark, which is super feast.
Yeah.
But collagen I add into the same as with mushrooms. You can cook with it and it's not affected by heat. So collagen I'll put into our hot drinks. I'll put it
Yeah.
into if I'm like baking, you know, some food like little gluten-free muffins or something for Lila.
Yeah.
So collagen, what else am I taking at the moment? I'm just thinking, I think that's really like I mean I have got quite an array of different things, but they're my sort of my staples. And for me, they're all predominantly food based, as well as obviously it's not a supplement, but your fermented foods. Like we're always incorporating a diversity of different ferments into our diet, and really is real food. Like it's
Yeah.
that is like, yeah, getting that real food and making sure you know where it's grown and you know, as organic as possible. So we sort of follow that what is it, the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
So eating organically can be expensive to do so. So look at I can't remember which website it's updated on, but if you
The
googled it,
Environmental Working Group, EWG.
yeah, yep. So Google it, and then that'll tell you like the ones that are the, you know, the clean 15. Like you can go, oh, okay, avocados, I can get that, and you know it's not as bad if it's not organic. Like you need to sort of pick and choose, so it
Yeah.
works with your bank balance a little bit more friendly.
Yeah.
But I think supplement wise, I also take a bit of MSM, which is good for hair, skin, nails, good for breastfeeding as well.
Yeah.
I'm taking some brewer's yeast as well, but that's just for breastfeeding. But they're sort of the main, and I'll
You
usually have a
take a
protein powder as well, and that's just after I train. First thing. Oh, sorry. Yes, I do take magnesium as well. I do take a magnesium, and I try to have magnesium like a Epsom salt bath, but I'm rubbish at it. I don't get time to, which is hence why I'm doing the float. I do have a magnesium spray because obviously our body absorbs more magnesium transdermally than it does through taking a supplement. So yeah, if you can self-care, get in the bath, soak is the best way to do it. If you don't have time, get the spray like I do after I get out of the shower, not spray, sort of what is inside of your thighs, inside of your arms. I can't remember. I'd have to have a look. I can let you know. But yeah, I think that's everything. I'm using at the moment the is it Nutri Organics? I want to get my hands on some of the, I'm not sure. I'm going to say we're going. You're leaving
Uh,
me?
I don't know. I think I'm about to die, but oh God. Yeah, I think my phone's about to go into death mode because I feel like we're having
Well, not
massive
literally.
delays.
Yeah,
Okay.
although it's getting better now. Maybe it's where you were.
Is that better?
Okay, so collagen, yeah, that is better. So collagen wise, a marine collagen is obviously the best absorbed by our body. And you want to make sure it's one that is actually from the scales and the bones and, ethically sourced, wild caught, all those good things. But then the diversity of different collagen. So I know that Dr. Axe does a multi-collagen. So you've got your three sort of main types of collagen. I think there's 28 different types, but there's three sort of main types that you want. And type 1 is also sort of all that hair, skin, nails, I guess beauty collagen as well as all that connective tissue.
Yeah.
So marine collagen is the most easily absorbed for us with that supplement because, as Shan told me, it doesn't smell good when you're doing bone broths in fish. It's a bit fishy. So yeah, and I guess with collagen, it's just is diversifying. So you're getting those different sorts of collagen, but supplementing with a
Yeah.
marine collagen. And I think it's something that's really important to obviously eat, but also supplement. So do your bone broths, like we do lots of bone broths in our house. And
Yeah.
I use it as a base for lots of foods like you do as well. But then also I supplement with it as well. As we age, obviously our collagen production declines. And so, yeah, I guess it's a little bit of a race against time, and things like lifestyle and sugar and all those sorts of things deplete our body's ability to make collagen. So for me, we definitely supplement with collagen pretty much every day.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to wrap up because I think my phone's going to die. But can you tell everybody where they can find you? And I'm also going to, once I put this on our YouTube, I'll put all of your appropriate links underneath. But where can they find you?
Okay. So on Instagram, it's Holistic Health Nut, and my website is holistichealthnut.com.au. Oh,
Perfect.
and on Facebook as well, same thing.
Yep. Awesome. So if people are hanging out in Perth, they can potentially come and hang out with us at a workshop in November.
Which will be so exciting, which we'll actually get to meet each other face to face.
I know, instead of just talking on the phone all the time.
That would be so, I know, it's crazy. You're like my pen pal.
Oh, so weird. Awesome. Thank you. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you very much
Thanks,
for having me,
Aurora.
Sharon. Enjoy
Bye.
your day. Bye.
You too.